Okay, once you are into your Fusion 360, make sure you check your data panel. You should be starting a new project when you get started. Something with a name similar to Getting Started with Fusion or Intro to Fusion or Fusion 360 Start, Project 1, whatever you want to name it, as long as you know which one it is. Then you're going to make a new part. First thing we're doing is saving. Putting our name on here. Object 2. And I'll say save. Alright, so as I'm working my way through, first thing I need to do is make a sketch. And I need to pick a plane to work on. I will usually wind up working on this XY plane. Just remember, red, X, Y, green, Z, blue. RGB, red, green, blue, X, Y, Z. Alright, so my parts are right here. So this is the box that I'm making. I want to try and break this down into smaller proportions, smaller geometric shaping. So I can break this down. My brain sees a large rectangle, a circle, and a smaller rectangle. So I'm going to use three what we call primitives or basic shapes. So grab my 2-point rectangle. What this means is my first mouse click will set the first point. Second mouse click will set the second opposite corner. And I always want to start at the origin. Up, and away. And I know this is 3.5. But how big is this side to side? So we know that this circle has a radius of 1, because this tells us R, 1 inch. So these quote marks, the 2 tick marks, tell us inches. But remember, this is radius, so we need to account for the fact that it's from center point out and center point out. So we need to say 1 3/4 inches plus an inch gets us to the center, plus another inch gets us to this edge here. That gets us to 3.75 inches. The last 1 1/4 inches tells me that we have a total width of 5 inches wide. A 2-inch diameter circle. Just remember diameter all the way through, and I'm labeling this as a radius. So I need to remember that my radius is going to be for any arc between 0.00000000001 degrees and 359.999999999 degrees. They're going to be measured in radiuses. The second we hit 360, now we have a full circle. Now we will measure it in diameter. So just know when you're looking at these, you have to account for that. That's a real common problem because the tool that we're going to use to make it relies on diameter. So if I come over here, we're going to finish making this one here. So I know this is 5 inches. I can hit tab, 5 inches, enter. Now I can make my circle. So this is what is known as a center diameter circle. So the first mouse click chooses where the center of the circle will be. The second mouse click is taking us for the sizing on that circle. And I'm just going to say somewhere in this general vicinity, I want a 2-inch diameter circle. Enter. I can move this around all I want, but I can't change the size of it because it has a dimension associated. There's nothing telling the software where this circle sits on the X or on the Y. All that it knows is this is a 2-inch diameter circle. So I can mark and set this into place. I can come up here and go to my sketch dimension tool, or I could just press the letter D, and I know that this is going to be 1.6 inches from my center from the top edge of this object. So I can do top edge, center, whoop, right click, cancel. 1, 2. And I know this needs to be 1.6 inches. I've not done anything on the X, but I know that I need on the Y. I'm locked in, so I'm going to right click, say cancel. So now I can move on my X, but not on my Y, nor can I change the size of this circle. Let's look at our top rectangle here. So we know we need to be 1.6 inches tall, and we need to be 2 inches wide. So I'm going to radius of 1, my diameter is 2, so that tells me edge to edge is 2 inches. So let's make a square, rectangle. Rectangle type shape, 1.6, tab 2. And look, I've got this lovely rectangle that I can move, because again, we have no X or Y value associated with it. All that we have is our dimensions. But I want this rectangle to be connected to this circle. So what I need to use are what are called our constraints. And this is going to let us lock these pieces together. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my box close to where I want it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to be in the general vicinity. And in this case, I have this curve and a flat line. Mathematical term for when we have that straight line coming in contact with one facet of our circle is tangent. So I want this arc and this circle to be tangent to each other. Ding, and I get this lovely little icon that says they're now tangent. I'm going to right click and say OK. So when I move my circle, my square comes with it. But we still don't know where we sit on the X and Y for this circle. But we also know that we want this connected to here. What I can do is I can grab this corner, drag the corner up, and you can see that little box turned green. Ding! That means that this is now in contact and connected to that line. So if we take a look at our shape here, we can know that our center point is 1.6 down. We got that figured out. We also know that this edge here is 1.25 inches away from this edge over here. So again, I can come and grab my dimension tool. Edge, edge, tap, 1.25 inches, enter. Now, my lines are all white. I don't have any blue lines anywhere. This is locked in. I can't move this on the X or on the Y. There's nothing I can do. This is all locked in place. Now I can come up to my solid window and create an extrusion. When I do an extrusion, it's asking me what profiles, what enclosed geometry do I want the software to grab. So in this case, I want just this nice big kind of offset U. And I want this to be 3 inches. And I'm going to say OK. Go to my view cube, and isn't she lovely? Notice in this view, we can see a line where the curved arc of the circle comes in contact with that straight edge there. Real world, you would never actually see that, but this is a theoretical type world where we'll see those markings where these things stop.